One thing you want to be careful with this try-catch though is this, something to do with the variables. Variable names are very tricky in the try-catch. Okay. If you have a variable, let's just say outside here, if I call it int of number, okay, there's no error there. I do a print statement, right? Even before that, I'm going to say, I'm going to change the number equals to 10. So inside the try block, I assign number equals 10. And then it causes an error, right? So because this error is going to go out here to the arithmetic exception error, handles that, and then it jumps back out to the finally block, and it's going to print the finally block here. I'm going to put the next line here, our system out a number. It'll be plus number. So as soon as I type number here, you'll see this red squiggly line underneath it. And if you mouse over this number, it will say this local variable number may not have been initialized. Okay? So whether you put the number inside, you use it inside the finally or inside the catch block here, I can do the same thing. I can copy this, I put it inside here. You'll see that it's the same thing, right? It's not visible. I mean, it is visible. It's not initialized. And we learned from way back when, like chapter 2 or something like that, right? If you don't initialize your local variables, you can't use it. But you say, wait a minute, I initialized in line 16, right? Okay. So the difference is that if you initialize it inside line 16 there, which is fine, inside here it's fine. But once you are outside the try block, either going to the catch or the finally block here, it will still treat as this number here has never been initialized. Yeah, right, let's just go. So what you need to do is, even though I change that to 10 in here, I still need to say, okay, I'll start with a value of 0. Once you do that, then it's okay, because now it's initialized, and then the number is happy here and also down here. Okay? So when I print this, number here is not going to be 0, it's going to be 10, because I replaced the number there, right? I changed to a new number, 10. And so when you run, you'll see that it prints 10. Okay, in both places, the catch block and also the finally block. But if you don't initialize it or don't set it inside the try block, then it will be 0 because that's the default value, right? It's never been replaced, reset. So that's a really tricky part when you write the try catch block. Just be careful that if you have any local variables declared inside a function like this, and when you local variable mean like any variable that's outside of any block, like a try catch, or even like like this, right? It's a block of code. Then you want to initialize it before you can use it. And the reason why is because of this try here. It just means that because we're trying, we cannot guarantee that it'll work, right? So this case will be fine because the number is there. What if I happen to have this number, assigned after the error? See, that means I will never reach the line 19, right? You can't reach it. That's why it's not guaranteed to work down here. If you don't initialize it, that means this number will never be initialized, or down here, if I try to print it, it will never be initialized. So therefore, it requires that you have to initialize your value before you use them. Okay. That's for all local variables. This would be different if you put it out in the global space. If I were to say this num is not in there, it's in a global space, it's in a class space, I want to make that static, then I don't need to initialize it, right? Just do that, and that should still be fine. Okay, that would be fine. As you can see, there's no error. Okay. And that's because it's a global variable. A global variable in the global space, this is called fields, which you remember way back in chapter 4 or 3. These are data fields, so they'll be initialized by the JVM to the default values, right? So numbers will be default to 0. If it's a string, it will be defaulted to null, and Boolean will be false, and so on, right? So those are the default values. Any local variables, you have to explicitly initialize them.